And welcome everyone to our regular council meeting, Monday, October 21st, 2024. And welcome to all those members of the public that are joining us this evening in the gallery, and to our staff are here. Also, our members of council, all are present. And to those that are participating from home, welcome to all of you. Just a housekeeping, just ensure that your cell phones are turned off or on mute, please. And we go into item number 1. We have an amendment to the budget, item 10.1.1, staff report. So we'll call this meeting to order and ask everyone to rise for O Canada, please. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And we'll begin our meeting with the land acknowledgement. As we gather, we are reminded that the municipality of South Huron is situated on Treaty 29 land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. And as a community, we have a responsibility to honor and respect this territory's significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon it, and whose practices and spiritualities were tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today. In the spirit of reconciliation and truth, we acknowledge the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples on whose traditional territory we are meeting. And thank you for that. We'll move on to item number 3, please, Ms. Basua-Colson.
The South Huron Council approves the agenda as presented.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures at this time? I'm not seeing any. Thank you. And we'll move into our presentations. And we'd like to welcome our guests, Francis Vallue and Michelle Courtney from Blue Water Recycling Association. Would you come down, please? That'd be great. And just a little bit of introduction about Francis when he gets to the podium there. Welcome, Francis. Good to see you. Good. Just want to welcome you, Francis and Michelle, for being here tonight. Francis, very few words can describe you, but brilliant would be one. And I remember when I first met you, the CAO at the time, Mr. Best, said, you're going to find him to be brilliant. And that's exactly, he was exactly right. You've taken what we have done with recycling across Ontario since 1989 and made it what it is today. You've shown nothing but tremendous leadership, not just for our area and for all the member municipalities, but for across the province and, for that matter, across Canada. I know you talk to professionals that are in the same field as you are, and you've made a big difference in their communities also. So for one man to do all that, and I know you had a team behind you and you're a very humble man, but I just want to congratulate you on all the work you've done. You've really made a huge difference in the lives and our prosperity. So that's what I have to say. And I just want to know if you have anything you would like to respond to.
What'd you have to drink?
We already talked about that.
Oh, George, got you fooled. No, listen, it's been my pleasure to have served your community for the last 35 years. It was an interesting project that I was brought in 1989 to develop a recycling program, and it's been quite a ride. It's been quite interesting. And we're certainly proud of our accomplishments. And again, it's just been a privilege to serve you and your community and everyone involved there. And yes, I'm certainly not alone. We have a great team behind me that's made it all happen. And so it's, there's no one person that does that, that's for sure. But for me, it's been 35 years. And we've recently transitioned to the Blue Box to producer responsibility. I mean, when I was hired, I was like, my title was actually recycling coordinator. That was my title. And it was to set up a Blue Box program. This year, on April 1st, the producers in Ontario have taken over the Blue Box program for the local communities. It's part of their responsibilities now. They're 100% responsible operationally and financially for the Blue Box program. And we managed to get through this transition and coming out good for the association and its members. So we have contracts with the producers to continue the same services we provided you all these years, but for them until the end of 2032. So your residents won't see any change in the level of service that they see. That's just the same trucks, the same people, same schedule that we're going to be around. And so we're set that way. And so for me, it was a good time now to pass on the torch for some younger blood to come in and lead you to the future. We have all kinds of interesting, now that this is the Blue Box is settled, we have all kinds of interesting projects coming up. Everybody's talking about organics, of course, and that's something that we planned back in 2004. That's when we introduced the wheelie bin, with the full expectation at some point in time in the future we'd be collecting or offering a service for organics collection. Now the time is coming for that. Now, whether you choose to do that, that's up to you. But it's going to be one that, again, it's going to require lots of launches and introduction to the community, working with partners on processing organic materials and things like this. And for me, it's always a good time to step aside and let somebody else take the ring and make that happen for you. So it's my pleasure tonight to introduce you to Michelle Courtney. Michelle's been our controller for the last 8 years, so she's quite familiar with the operation. We've been spending a lot of time together to go through this transition so that she'll be taking over. She'll be officially taking over as president of the association on November 4th of this year. I will remain on board until the end of the year, more of an advisory role. But I'm sure she's never going to call me because she's doing great. She already knows what she's doing, and things are looking good. So yeah, it's exciting changes, and but from your perspective, I hope you will see that your services that you've become accustomed to will continue to the level of your expectation, and certainly not. I mean, I've always said we work for you. We just happen to do it for 20 municipalities, but we're right here. We're just your department, and we love it. And again, thank you for the opportunity all these years. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, it's just thank you for the opportunity to come and meet all of you. I look forward to working with you in the future. It's hard to stand up here and talk when you've just heard what a great man that he is, and there's no way that I'm gonna fill the shoes, but I have a great team behind me, and we got some changes in the waste industry, organics, recycling in the future. So I'm really excited about navigating those changes and seeing where we can go. And I look forward to working with all of you. So.
Thanks, Michelle. Knowing who you are and your background, your family and whatnot, we are in very, very good hands with BRA, especially with the skill set that you've learned from Francis. Like, I don't know if you can find a better mentor anywhere. So you're both patriots, and we really appreciate everything you've done and will do for the community moving forward into the generations ahead of us. So we thank you so much.
She left the best part out. She's local. She lives right here.
I know. Yeah.
I am an Exeter resident, so yes, obviously South Huron is near and dear to my heart, but.
No, appreciate that. Any comments from members of council? Well, Karen, go ahead.
No, just a big thank you, Francis, for all your work in the past 35 years. I've only, seen you make delegations over the last, I guess, 6 years, and every time it's you really know what you're presenting and sharing on, and you're really passionate about recycling, and it's very clear when you come here that you care about what you do, and that's come through every time. And every time you have come and presented, I've been able to get even more information and knowledge about recycling and waste management. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Councilor Neeb. Any other comments? Deputy, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank you. I was around when it started, if you can believe that. It's been great. Keep up the good work, and thank you very much for what you've brought to South Huron.
You must have been a very young man when we started. Most of them are dead now.
And Francis, can you tell us which building you started in and what the dynamics were at the time in 1989? Just how it's
Well,
grown?
so I was hired out of the town hall in Park Hill. The interview was done upstairs. That town hall no longer exists. They tore it down in the last few years. My first office was in the basement of the Forest Town Hall, where they gave me a folding table and a chair and they said, give us a blue box program. And then when we got our first real office was actually at the where the Grand Bonaplex is now, or well, it was the Pickling Onion Growers next door. We had the smaller building. It was a 13,000 square foot building. That was our location, our main location for the first 5 year of operation from 1989 to 1994 before we moved to Yarn Park, where we've been ever since. Yeah. So it's been interesting.
That's awesome. That's just amazing how you've grown that, built the team around you. The team continues to be successful. And again, Michelle, just incredible skill set you've got right now. We're very thankful. I can tell you from the bottom of our hearts, thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, when we look to our delegations, move on to 6.1 and we welcome Pam Tobin. Pam, come on in.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for welcoming me to your council meeting. I'm just bringing up a slide deck. So grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit with you about CMHA, our services in this region, what we do and who we are. To start, my name is Pam Tobin. I'm the CEO with CMHA Thames Valley Addiction and Mental Health Services. So we are an integrated agency. We integrated in 2021. So we were 4 individual organizations, and under Ontario Health, we came together under one. It's Elgin, Middlesex, Oxford, and South Huron. And it was during an interesting time, as you can recall, the pandemic, and trying to integrate 4 different ways of doing business into one. It was quite an undertaking, but here we are, and we are the largest CMHA in Ontario. We have approximately 700 employees. We're also a newly unionized organization, and we just now have our first collective bargaining agreement in place that we signed in January 2024, and we're going through the process of implementing that now. We have a number of community-based services here in Exeter and in the surrounding regions. We are the leader in community-based mental health and addiction services. We have a number of programs such as crisis intervention and virtual supports, mobile crisis teams, case management, counseling, community wellness, housing, and addiction medicine. So the full gamut of mental health and addiction services. On the next slide, a little bit about our team. So about 700 staff in total. We have 4.8 staff here in Exeter, and we have 260 volunteers throughout the organization. We have a significant impact on the community. In the past year, we served over 18,000 clients, and that could be for any range of mental health or addiction services. The team that we have here in Exeter are one of the most amazing teams I've ever had the opportunity to work with, small but mighty. I had an opportunity to speak with them just last week, and they were sharing with me the length of time they've worked with CMHA. Some have been here since high school, finishing university, starting a co-op, and having their career with us. And it's amazing to see the staff that we have here grow with the organization and to provide the services that they do throughout the region. And it's just such an honor to work with them. We also have a manager and a director that floats around a couple of our regions, so they come here on a part-time basis, but we have a 4.8 staff here based in Exeter. On the next slide, we also have a new strategic plan. So this year, we've shifted from operating as an organization that's going through the process of integration to one that's fully integrated. And with that, we developed a new strategic plan to outline of all of our priorities for the next 3 years. Some of this work we do anyway. So access to care is why we're in business, and we provide the best client care throughout the region for any community-based mental health and addiction services. We also do supportive housing quite well, and we have supportive housing here in Exeter. And then a couple of new pieces of work is leadership and supporting First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and urban Indigenous priorities. And those are two new pieces of work that we'll be taking on. With leadership, like I spoke to the team that we have here already, we want people to join our organization and grow with us and have their career with us. And in order to do that, we have to provide opportunities, be it leadership opportunities or otherwise. We also need to acknowledge that everybody that we have in our team is a leader, and everybody is bringing a different skill that somebody else can learn from. And we're developing different modalities for people to learn from one another, be it mentorship or leadership opportunities. On the next slide, specific to South Huron region, as I mentioned, we have a housing program. We provide case management as well as wellness programs. We have meal services that we've just recently changed slightly. In the Know is a mental health support program that we have for the farming community that's so well received here in the region. And we're really busy with that program, and that's been a huge success for us. And then we provide peer support, and that's in partnership with our colleagues that are also based at a Huron Perth. Some numbers to share with you for the services that we've provided in Exeter over the past year. Face-to-face service for clients, we saw 1,162. And non-face-to-face service, be it virtual phone calls, anything like that, is 1,305. To put that into context, our crisis center in London, which is a 24/7, 365 operation, saw 4,400 clients last year. So this is a very busy site. And there's a lot of services that we provide to the community on an ongoing basis. It's also a challenging time in that the complexity of clients that we see is increasing, and we're seeing more and more clients. Unfortunately, though, we are in a bit of a financial crunch because of our collective bargaining agreement and implementing that. Harmonizing wages to implement the CBA has taken a hit to our finances, and we have had to reorganize the whole of the organization in order to meet that deficit. So we could just go to the next slide. These are our audited financials from last year. It's just a summary. I didn't want to bore you with the pages and pages of all the details, but overall, our revenue is $52,521,000. 83% of our budget goes to wages. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that our expenses this past year are $55,000. So we're operating in a $2.6 million deficit solely because of the harmonization of wages. Our staff have been woefully underpaid for many years. Community, mental health, and addiction staff typically are. There's no comparison to the wages that are paid through community, mental health, and addiction staff and hospital staff, for example, or other folks in the healthcare realm. With that said, we have such a dedicated staff who are just so passionate about the work, and despite being underpaid, they continue to come in every day and serve the most vulnerable people in our community. So a part of the harmonization of wages was to bring up our staff into a livable wage. They're still paid less than what they make in the hospital, but they still stay with us. We do lose some people to the hospital. Sometimes we get them back because it's not always about the salary. With that though, having the CBA in place and becoming unionized has certainly helped us in maintaining staff and retaining the staff that we have, but we still have this deficit that we're faced with. So we are looking at different opportunities in which to look at other ways that we can increase our budget, but our budget's been stagnant for the past 10 years. So we have last fiscal year, we received a 5% base increase in our budget. That was the first that we received in 10 years. We were told that it was unprecedented and not to expect it again. And that 5% totaled $1.6 million. And that was the total that it cost to harmonize our wages. So we've had to cut back our staff here in Exeter at a time when the need is growing. So we've changed the way that we provide services here, and we've shifted a lot of the services. Again, the team that we have here have been amazing. They've come together and they've looked at different ways in which to provide services in a good way. And we've shifted some, like our meal program, for example, used to be a daily program, but now it's offered every other week. But we still have meals, frozen meals that are available to anybody who needs meals. So we've just done our work in a little bit of a different way, but we would really benefit from being able to bring back some of our staff that we've lost as a part of this restructure. So I'm here this evening to ask if you guys would consider in your next operating budget a lift to support CMHA and the services that we provide here in the community. Next slide. That's it. Any questions for me?
Great. Thank you very much, Pam. Any questions for Pam? Councillor McLeod Haggett.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Pam. Not so much a question, but just a comment. The staff on site here, I work with them with my full-time job, calling them and working with, I can't say enough good things about them. There is a fantastic crew, and I would love to see it grow because they definitely need more support down there.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, not seeing, and as far as your request goes, what will happen is that this will come back to our next council meeting, and then if council wishes to decide or make discussion on that, that'd be the time they do that. Any comments from our CEO?
Nope.
No. So if I have nothing further, thank you very much. Great presentation, Pam.
Thank you so much. Have a nice
You
evening.
too. Have a great night. Okay, Ms. Masul Coulson, please.
That South Huron Council receives a delegation from CMHA, Thames Valley Addictions and Mental Health Services regarding the funding shortfalls in the community-based mental health and addiction sector, as presented by Pam Tobin.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. And 6.2. How are you, Dan? Daniel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can. Feel free to go whenever you're ready. You have about 10 minutes.
Fantastic. Thanks for receiving me this evening. My name's Daniel Siegel. I'm a builder with Siegel Construction. I've been doing laneway houses and garden suites in Toronto and Hamilton since 2020. The reason for my delegation this evening is I have a model that I've been presenting to maybe let's call it 3/4 of the councils across Ontario as a solution to the current housing crisis. The upper tier municipality has transitional housing to rent geared to income housing pretty well tied up. But in the housing continuum, when it comes to home ownership and attainable home ownership, that's left to the private sector uniquely. And so I'm coming to you this evening with a plan I would like to have a chat with planners about, to talk about how we can facilitate the construction of attainable housing units in your community. So in Bill C-23, which came out in 2024, it defined what an affordable house price is in South Huron, and that number is $330,000 per house. And I'm sure there are a lot of developers who look at that number and say that doesn't make any sense for me to build, and frankly, no one builds it. I am coming to you this evening with a plan that I've come up with over the past little while doing laneway houses and garden suites to address this issue. My plan is to build compact communities for the newlywed and the nearly dead to allow them to own a house. Now, for a lot of you, perhaps you were fortunate enough to consider buying a house, and when you were faced with that opportunity, it was likely cheaper to buy than it was to rent. Over the last 15 years, that affordability has eroded to the point where now a house might cost $800,000 with an accompanying mortgage of $4,000. And frankly, the numbers don't work anymore. And they don't work because what used to be considered an affordable house was likely purchased by a developer or a house flipper. And they took that affordable house, tacked on maybe an addition, maybe an extra bedroom and bathroom. And before you know it, it's not affordable anymore. Maybe it's $1 million, maybe it's 800, maybe it's 700, who knows? But the days of affordable home ownership are over. And that's primarily because there were two big housing construction booms for affordable housing. That was the 1920s to the 1940s with wartime housing, and then again in the 80s. And after that, no one's been interested in building it. And that's primarily, in my opinion, why there is such a large divide between the haves and have-nots in our province as it relates to home security, home ownership, and starting somebody's new life. So with that, this is my fourth delegation this evening. I'm in my car. I'm hopefully going to get home in time to take my daughter to dance this evening. That being said, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. The goal of this delegation is to request that my delegation be forwarded to staff. Perhaps you have room in your CIP, perhaps you're interested in applying for funding, or perhaps unicorn-like you have a few $1 million sitting in your operating or capital budget that needs to be spent and they're looking at projects to spend it on. I'd love to talk to staff about putting together. See, in this photo, we could see what we're talking about here. These are prefabricated 680 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath units that I'm hoping to sell a community-based project where each unit would cost at or below the provincial number of $330,000 per unit. Again, that all depends on a few things, such as whether or not we're doing this on serviced or unserviced land. But frankly, I think that there are enough people interested in this subject that we likely could make the numbers work with a few interested parties. With that, I'd love to take any questions. But again, I do recommend that this delegation be referred to staff for further discussion.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. One question, are these stackables, are you referring to them as condominiums, or are they to be sold and rented out, or what's your thoughts on that?
So the crux of it is they need to be able to be sold. The reason is, frankly, the upper tier municipality has affordable rentals pretty much tied up. I'm sure they could always build more, but frankly, it doesn't solve anyone's problem if they don't have access to building equity in their house. Home equity is the basis of vibrant communities, I'm convinced, because that's what keeps you mowing the lawn and taking out the garbage, because you know that when your neighbor down the street wants to sell, if your house doesn't look so great, they're not going to get a great price. And everyone benefits when, well, I'm not going to say everyone benefits, but homeowners benefit when prices go up. And they take pride in their home and they take pride in their community when they have actual value in it. They have skin in the game. So with that, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Any other questions from members of council? Okay, not seeing any other questions. Deputy Mayor, go ahead, please.
Thank you. You're selling 3 units here and they're all on the same parcel of land. How do you purchase 1 unit separately if there's 3 on one parcel?
Go ahead, Dan.
That's a great question. The short answer is usually we do it in a condominium format, but I'm looking at doing it as a land lease in some situations, and I'm open to a plan of subdivision, subdividing the land. There are a lot of different models, and frankly, it comes down to which one makes the most amount of sense for your community. So it's really on a site-by-site basis that we make that determination.
Deputy, follow-up.
Thank you. And this does not include the services like your water, sewage, any of that stuff?
No, it does. I'm trying to make it so that you get everything. You get a real house for that number. You're not getting a house minus all the services. That wouldn't be fair. Now, I'm really trying to deliver something that somebody could buy, live in for a few years, and if need, say they have a child or two, they're actually able to put another story on this thing and grow in their community. That's really pride of ownership. I think that's the key factor that you don't get in rent geared to income type rental situations.
Councillor McLeod Haggett?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. What, you've said that you've done delegations throughout Ontario. What other municipalities have taken on this task?
Again, I perhaps we could take this offline. I'm not interested in divulging that information until without NDAs and other protections on my end. Basically, I'll give you so much before you have to pay for the information, because I think it's too good of an idea to just give away for free, frankly. That again, that could be answered offline perhaps. But again, I'm not giving away my intellectual property on a public forum.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Oak?
I believe you presented to county council. Was there any comments from county at the time of the delegation?
Thank you for that. I can tell you that he did not have his package here to be shown to the rest of the council, so our clerk wasn't able to provide that information. So it was a limited discussion. Any other questions or comments at this time? Okay, not seeing any. Deputy, any follow-up with that at the county?
No, I think you got it.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing further, thank you very much, Dan, for your presentation. And as I said to Pam earlier, I don't know if you heard that, but it'll come back to next council meeting if council wishes to discuss it further and provide direction to staff at that time.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yep, thank you for your presentation. Ms. Masula Collison, please.
That South Huron Council receives a delegation from Siegel Construction regarding municipal development of attainable housing as presented by Daniel Siegel.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Number 7, public meeting, number 8.1, please.
That South Huron Council adopts the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 7th, 2024 as printed and circulated.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carries with 7. And next item, please, number 9.4.
That the minutes, correspondence, and draft budget of the following committees and or boards be received as presented to council. Ausable Bayfield Conservation Authority, correspondence, minister's direction on fees. Grand Bend Area Joint Sewage Board, minutes of July 25th, 2024. Correspondence with draft 2025 budget for council comment. Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, draft minutes of September 24th, 2024, and agenda package of October 22nd, 2024. And Exeter Business Improvement Area, BIA, minutes of September 30th, 2024.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, second by Councillor Vaughn. Any discussion? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. I would like to actually talk about 2 items in this section. One being the Ausable Bayfield Conservation Authority correspondence regarding the minister direction on fees, and the other one being the budget for the Grand Bend Area Sewage Board. So if I may, I'd like to start with ABCA.
Yep, go right ahead.
Okay. So you'll note in your package tonight that there was a letter from myself as chair of the ABCA this year that is talking about the situation where we have been directed by the minister to freeze Conservation Authority fees for planning, development, and permits. We've been under that freeze for 2 years now, and the ABCA is, well, they have tried to absorb those costs within the budgets that they've provided in the last 2 years, but they're finding that progressively difficult to do, particularly given all of the bills on housing, Bill 23, Bill 108, Bill 107, where more emphasis is continuously coming from the province of Ontario to keep fees in these categories down to a minimum. In the Conservation Authority situation, they're frozen absolutely and have been for the last 2 years. The Conservation Ontario is full well expecting that there will be a similar letter that is about to be issued to deal with 2025. Nothing so far, no indications coming from the ministry there'll be anything different than a continuation of that freeze. So I think any organization can go along with the freeze for a couple of years, tighten their belt, but with every progressive year that goes on, the likelihood of these expenses, if you will just come into the budgetary process. And eventually it will be effectively downloaded to all of the member municipalities that are a part of a conservation authority. And that goes for all conservation authorities, not just the ABCA, but I'm only dealing with a letter from the ABCA because of where I'm sitting with the ABCA right now. So they've sent a number of pieces of correspondence, the old minister orders, as well as my letter, as well as the actual letter that they're planning on sending back to the ministry. And they're suggesting two things. They're suggesting support from our council and our mayor, along with all of the other member municipalities within the ABCA, to either please remove the freeze or please amend the amount that you give us in grant monies to give us some kind of relief to make up for this continuous downloading. So one way or the other, it comes back to the municipality. So it's a resolution of sorts, basically asking the minister for some reprieve. I prepared a motion today. Alex has nicely amended it to be even better than what I presented. And so I suppose we'll finish with the motion that's on the table first, which is to receive the report. And then immediately following that motion, I'd like Alex to read the motion that I'm proposing to deal with this correspondence. At this point, can I entertain any questions from anyone on council?
Yeah,
With-
that's, I think, the next step. Any questions for Councillor Vaughan on that? Councillor, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I saw the correspondence and I noticed that Upper Thames in their report, their minutes, that's attached to this recommendation as well. They had the same letter in their package of information with a number of municipalities that had provided letters of support to that City of London, County of Oxford. Like there's a whole list that was all part of the Upper Thames package as well, supporting it. I'm not sure. This has been a request previous. This letter, I believe, has come before before this.
yeah.
Or it had been part of the package or being talked about anyways. Has any of the other lower tiers in the ABCA catchment area provided a letter of support as of yet?
Not as of yet. This is the first time we're seeing it here at South Huron, and I'm expecting that within the next 2 weeks, give or take, all of the other member municipalities will be seeing this and being asked for the request as well. I don't recall asking or sending a letter like this last year.
No,
so-
I meant like previous council meeting or two, because it's been in the ABCA minutes that this was being done. sort of has been talked about for the last couple councils packages that we've got. And
Yes.
finally, the letter is here. So,
It
yeah.
was discussed at the board of the ABCA. Our staff at ABCA were talking about the continued pressures that they were getting trying to live within their means. Yeah, so we have discussed it. We've discussed it a little bit beyond the actual letter as well, because again, with all of the different bills that have come out with the province of Ontario, ABCA is not the only one feeling the pressure. Municipalities are feeling the pressure as well. The timelines have all been tightened. One of the interesting phenomena we're seeing at the ABCA is that when some municipalities, and I'm happy to say ours is not one of them because I double checked on that, but some of the municipalities, when they're getting applications in, are not really looking at them from a scrubbing perspective to see what do we really need from the ABCA. They're sending all of their applications to the ABCA. So in their hurry to get the job done, it would appear they're expecting us to do some sorting of what applies to us and what does not apply to us. So that's sort of, to be diplomatic about it, also cost us a little bit more in terms of staff time and attention. That wasn't really necessary. So yes, there's been discussion at the board.
Councillor, follow up.
So, yeah, so my concern, one of the concerns I have is, yes, there's a freeze on the fees for development and application fees. Reversing that's going to make it more costly to build for somebody building because of the fees going up in a time where we're trying to keep the costs down to build more housing. And so I have a little bit of concern about, I know why the government has put a freeze on, because they're trying to get more homes built, keep it cheaper, try to reduce the fees associated with that, and maybe tighten the belt again with some of the conservation authorities a little bit. But at the same token, you're right, they can only cut so far, or else they'll be coming to us and it'll be on the levy here for all taxpayers, as opposed to the developers paying the fee. So it's sort of a two-way street.
Councillor Neeb.
Well, and I agree with Councillor Vaughn. I think one of the I don't know if you call it a mantra, but something that we've discussed at council repeatedly over the last few years, and even the prior council, was development paying for development. And so we continue down this path and the cost gets downloaded onto the levy. It's no longer development paying for development. It is the taxpayer subsidizing development, which is as long as it's clear and transparent, that's a different story. But in this case, it's kind of it's unclear in some cases and untransparent if it continues, and these freezes aren't updated to reflect the true cost of offering those services through the ABCA. So I'm in favor of what you've been discussing, Councillor Vaughn.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on this? Okay, so we won't have a motion on this until we're done our receiving of the actual 9.4. Do you want to go on with the next one with the sewage treatment board?
If everyone's all right with that, I would like to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so again, not too sure how much detail you've looked at in your package, but we were presented with the Grand Bend joint sewage budget for the 2025 year. And pretty much most of the expenses are kind of routine. There's nothing really that jumps out except for things like insurance, which everybody's been hit with higher insurance costs for the last several years. So this year is the same kind of thing. But what I think is most important is kind of the bottom line here in terms of the budget increase that they're looking for the South Huron contribution is an increase of $13,579. And the increase for Lambton Shores is $5,986, which it might at first blush look a bit of like, why is that, you might ask? Particularly since there's been an awful lot more growth on the Lambton Shores kind of thing, kind of side, than there has been on South Huron. But there is an explanation for that. In terms of our fixed costs, they've pretty much risen in line with the percentage ownership, Lambton Shores to South Huron. But anything that's related to flows, anticipated flows, which are calculated on the basis of a rolling 3-year average of flows, it is showing that South Huron's flows proportionately are going up. Okay, the actual figures that we are to be debited for the flows will be the real flows. So the budget may look higher, but the reality is if those flows do not materialize in South Huron, we won't actually be charged those additional dollars. So the amount of that 13,000 that relates to flows is approximately 7,700. So a little bit more than half. Okay. What that basically says to me is that we at South Huron need to be vigilant when we get in the requests for payment from Lambton Shores, that we actually do some scrubbing of what those flows are, that they are checked back to what our real flows are through the 2025, so that we do not run the risk of overpayment. So that's
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Oak, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Because that was one of my questions on, in light of the situation, it's sort of reversed of what has been in the past sort of thing, the 13, the 5, it's reversed. So that explains that part. So thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, not seeing, will you be wanting a motion of any kind on this too? Microphone.
I don't believe at this time. I think the letter is written in such a way that if you have any, councillors have any questions about the budget that you would like your representatives on the committee to go back to Lambton Shores and get further clarification, by all means, come to us. I believe in another month or so, we're going to be asked to actually approve it. So now's the time to, if you have any more questions that come to mind, let us know what those are so we can get some clarification. I don't believe we need a motion to accept it beyond for information at this time.
Okay, thank you. So we have the original recommendation here now. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call it. Oh, sorry, Councillor Oak. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to note with the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, their draft minutes and their proposed 2025 budget that they've got in that package. They're looking at a 3.6% increase in the operating levy. Just wanted to make that note. They are having a reduction in the levy for major repairs, major capital repairs and other capital reduction, but overall the initial draft budget that's being pushed out right at the moment is showing a 3.6% increase. So just
thank you.
as an FYI.
Okay. Any other comments? We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. And then Councillor Vaughn, have you already got a motion prepared?
Yes, I believe Alex is going to read it for everyone.
Very well. Whenever you're ready.
That South Huron Council support the ABCA's request to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry to reverse the freeze on fees or increase the transfer payments to conservation authorities to replace the lost income that the freeze has created, and that Mayor Finch be authorized to sign the correspondence on behalf of South Huron Council.
So move, Councillor Vaughn. So
So moved.
So moved. Is there a seconder? Counselor McLeod Haggard. Any discussion? Okay, call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Okay, very well. Madam Clerk, are you ready? You're caught up? Good. 9.5, please. Ms. Suk also.
That South Huron Council receives and approves the recommendation of the October 15th, 2024 Committee of the Whole as follows. That staff proceed with option C for the mapping changes for the credit and settlement area and the mapping changes for the Greater Grand Band settlement area as outlined in the planner report dated October 8th, 2024, and that staff send correspondence to Lambton Shores Council to solicit feedback on the draft official plan review as a partner municipality, and that the statutory public meeting for the purpose of obtaining public feedback regarding the proposed official plan amendment be scheduled for December 2024 or January 2025.
And a mover, please. Moved by Counselor Neeb, second by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, 10.1.1, please.
This is a budget amendment. That South Huron Council receives staff report BPS 10-2024 RFP award Dashwood Fire Station Design Tender and Contract Administration budget amendment. And the council accepts the proposal from Spread Associates Limited in the amount of $90,630 plus HST for phase 1 design and cost estimate of the proposed fire station. And the council approves an amendment to the budget to increase the 2024 capital budget for the Dashwood Fire Station replacement from $100,000 to $109,829.57. And the council authorized a transfer of $9,829.57 from the Fire Capital Replacement Reserve to fund the additional costs.
And a mover, please. Counselor Neeb, and then seconded by Counselor Oak. Any discussion? Counselor Vaughn, please.
While not directly related specifically to the motion, I do have a question, which is, assuming this motion is passed, do we have a timeline with Sprite Associates for when we're expecting back our first design and preliminary cost?
Who would like to take that? Chief? Mike? Go ahead, Mike.
So the mayor, there was some high level scheduling that was proposed within the 9 RFPs that were provided. The proposal at this point for Spreets was to have design and estimated costs back to council close to the end of January for council's review.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Not seeing any. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 10.1.2.
That South Huron Council receives staff report BPS 11-2024 Building and Planning Third Quarter Activity Report for information.
And a mover, please. Deputy Mayor, second by Counselor Neeb. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. And next item, 10.2.1.
That South Huron Council receives staff report CSD 06-2024 Jay's Care Field of Dreams funding application. And that council authorized the submission of an expression of interest to the Jay's Care Field of Dreams funding to support the replacement of the baseball diamond light standards and fixtures.
And a mover, please. Moved by Counselor Oak, second by Counselor Neeb. Any discussion? Sue Carlson, go ahead.
Just a point of clarity, and if I can get Manager Amanda to just clarify where the funds, the replacement reserve.
Yes, so through the mayor, my apologies. So the funds in which would be coming out of would be the Recreation Capital Replacement Reserve. I believe it was stated as a Community Services Reserve in the report, so that's an error on my part there.
Okay, minor error, not a problem. Great. Thank you for the clarification. Any further discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, please. 10.2.2.
That South Huron Council receives staff report CSD 07-2024 Exeter Pool Report for information.
And a mover, please. Moved by Counselor Oak, seconded by Counselor Vaughn. Any discussion? Counselor Oak.
Yeah, I just want to thank staff for the report and the year. Was a very successful year by the looks of it. The one question I had, there was talk about the wading pool and some additional additional things maybe for 2025, looking to that. I do know that there has been some challenges with that pool with some water loss, and just wondering what the next steps are for that, or whether that's going to be addressed in any budget talks that are coming up, or what is the cause of the water losses? Is it a crack, or is it plumbing, or is it too early to say yet? So
Go ahead, chief.
Thank you. Through the mayor, we are investigating right now. I believe it's a crack in the cement itself. It had slowed down towards the end of the year, but the plumbing and everything is relatively, I shouldn't say new, but it's newer than the pool itself. But we are investigating what is going on there, and we'll get back to you guys in the spring.
Great, thank you.
great, thank you.
Any other discussion? Councilor McLeod-Haggett.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the report, Amanda. It kind of got me excited seeing the tail end of the report with the new programming that you're trying to initiate there. That I think is fantastic.
Through the mayor, so thank you so much for the comment. Maddie, our employee in charge of the pool, is very proactive and creative with some of the programs that she's come up with, and I'm happy to assist and hopefully get them up and going this year. So we look forward to that.
Great, thank you. Any other comments? Not not seeing any. We have a mover and a seconder. If there's no further discussion, call the question. All in favor? Carries with 7. Thank you. 10.3.1, please.
Let South Huron Council receive staff report TSD 15-2024, the 2025-2026 intake 10 of Ministry of Transportation Connecting Links program. And the South Huron Council confirms that Main Street South reconstruction, Sable River to Victoria Street, is a top priority project for the 2025-2026 intake 10 Ministry of Transportation Connecting Links program. And the South Huron Council confirms that capital funding is available for the municipal portion of this project, and that South Huron Council confirms if the MTO Connecting Link application is successful, that the municipality will proceed with the project in accordance with the timeline specified in the application.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. 10.4.1.
That South Huron Council received staff report FIN 17-2024, capital progress report, September 24th, for information.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. 10.4.2.
The South Huron Council received staff report BL 04-2024, requests for service, complaints, and bylaw infractions, third quarter activity summary.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, seconded by Councillor McLeod-Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. 10.4.3.
The South Huron Council received staff report CAO 12-2024, council priorities progress tracker, September 2024, for information.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Oak. Any discussion? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you for the up-to-date report. It's kind of timely. We're moving into budget, so this is great. I noticed that the date on when this was created was September 30th, and so there's one target date here that I'm just questioning. The water and wastewater master plan, we did have a meeting last week in our committee of the whole. We still have some more work to do on that in terms of getting the study back, and it's going to be amended, or at least that's what I got from last week's committee of the whole. And so I'm wondering if there's a new target date, because on the heels of it, and I'm not sure if it's dependent, we also have a water wastewater fee piece coming up soon. So I'm just trying to sort out in my mind how that might work.
Yes, Ms. Paulson.
Part of that is because some of it was completed in October like the water wastewater master plan committee of the whole was in October. So it is 90% done as of Q3, but yes, it will be extended and hopefully done by Q4. That's when it's should be done, Q4 2024.
Okay.
And then as far as the rate study, that's Q2 2025. Yeah.
You too. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further on that? Okay, not seeing any. We have a mover and a second. Oh, Counselor, go ahead.
Yeah, I just would like to say thank you to Rebecca for this as well. It's always nice to see with our priority session how we're tracking and so this is a wonderful method of doing that. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Nothing further. We have a mover and a seconder. Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any notices of motion that you're aware of?
There are none.
Thank you. Item number 12, item for discussion, arising from previous meetings. Is there anyone wish to talk about any of those? Deputy?
Yes, 12.2, the Lantern Festival, lighting of the lights. Where do we go with this? Do we, maybe CAO can help me out a little bit?
Through the mayor. If you could ask us for a staff report, and we could have the fire chief and the clerk come up with maybe a draft bylaw and a report to bring back to council.
And do you,
I would like to make that motion.
okay, and do you need a motion, Madam? Okay, so moved, and we'll just wait for the motion to be prepared.
That South Huron Council direct a staff report, including draft bylaw regarding the lighting and flying of lanterns, be brought back for council consideration.
So moved, Deputy?
Yes.
Seconder? Okay, thank you. Seconded by Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Anything else? There's 12.1 also. Anyone wants to discuss that? I'm just wondering if we can maybe send a letter to Stephen. He had a good presentation about perhaps if they're interested in our flag policy and if they want to do a flag raising next year, perhaps. If there's nothing further, 13.1. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Sewell-Colson.
The South Huron Council set the statutory public meeting for the official plan review for Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 5 p.m.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Neeb, seconded by Councillor Dietrich. Any discussion? Councillor McLeod Haggett.
Yes, through you, Mr. I'm just wondering if we could potentially look at another date. I have another commitment that night that I can't move that I've had planned for quite some time.
Okay, and I guess the challenge with that is if we move it, there's going to be other conflicts, so that is always the challenge. Any other discussion, Councillor Vaughn?
Yes, I realize there will be other challenges, but we also just approved a motion that said it would be either December or it would be January. So I'm wondering if there's a possibility that we could look at a doodle pool, bearing in mind what the county staff have to say about it too. We do have a lot of things that are supposed to be happening between now and the end of the year. So if we could move it to January, that might kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Okay, I'll just turn to staff for their comments, please.
Through the chair, so yes, we could circulate a doodle poll with other dates for council consideration.
Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, could we just propose a date? And as opposed to going through the rigmarole of doing the poll? I'm just only suggesting, typically we have meetings on Monday, so if we are willing to move the meeting to January, could we pick a date in January, or will that be too? I do realize Roma's kind of snuffed in there a little bit too, but I think that's, yeah.
Okay, staff comment.
Through the chair, so at this point in time, staff are working on the 2025 agenda calendar. So we do not have the exact date yet for when the regular council meeting would be during January. So it may be something that staff circulate some doodle polls with some proposed dates.
So we have a motion on the table at this point. Just referring to staff, how we should be proceeding properly. Madam Clerk, would you suggest?
So council could defer the motion to a later date once the doodle poll has been circulated.
Okay, so we'd like to do that. Is there a motion to defer? Councillor Vaughn, seconded by Councillor McLeod Haggett. And there's no discussion for deferral, so I call a question. All in favor? And that carries with 4. Okay, yep, thank you. It was deferred to a later date. And doodle poll, you need a motion for that then? No, okay, that's fine. Okay, and procedurally for 13.1, is there anything else further with that? Okay, thank you. So we'll go to Mayor and Councillor comments. Are there any comments at this point from members of council? Anything at all? Okay, not seeing any. So this past week, we've had lots of different things on the go. We had the South Huron Gala and Awards banquet, and lots of people there and lots of vibrancy at the event. Was pleased to receive the award on behalf of Hader Turkeys for lifetime achievement. And I can tell you that Rob Reed did a great job of talking about his restaurants, over 300 employees, $7 million payroll. Just an incredible success story for sure. Business of the year went to MR, well, under 15 employees went to MR Engineering and Design Limited, and business of the year over 15 employees went to Jane's Mechanical. Entrepreneur of the year went to Countryside Care Home Care Services, and the Customer Excellence Award went to Joanne Jakes from the main event, Unisex Hairstyles. And the Community Advancement Award went to Jessica's House Hospice. And as I said, Lifetime Achievement went to Hader Farms. Lots of people there, lots of networking, and it went on to about 10 o'clock at night. So very proud to see the success of that. And also the 18th of October this past week, myself and the chief went to the MyFM Radiothon for Foundation fundraiser. And he's the top fire dog, and I'm the top dog, according to Krista McCann. So that was a fun event, raised a lot of money. We're not sure what the total is yet, but that's coming through soon. Yesterday on Sunday, the Legion hosted the annual convention of Zone C with over 200 delegates there. Myself, MP Ben Lobb, and Minister Thompson were there to bring greetings. And I participate in the march from the Legion over to the Cenotaph with a large number of those individuals who could walk that far. And it was quite honorable to see Vera Armstrong, World War II vet, lay the wreath on behalf of the Legion. So it was very well attended. And again, we're very, very fortunate to have the Legion in our community. So anything else for any other members of council? Not seeing any. Okay, move on to communications. Ms. Basula Carlson.
15.1. 15.2.
Pull that.
15.3.
Pull.
15.4.
Pull.
15.5.
Pull.
15.6. 15.7.
Hold that, please.
15.8. 15.9. 15.10. 15.11.
Okay, thank you. So 15.2, and just going to refer to staff, any comments from staff on 15.2?
Through the mayor, I can start, and the clerk can just add on if she has anything more. This is a request for a dream lottery home, and so that would be through the AGCO. So that the AGCO is the one that the president of the Spring Dream Home Lottery will be providing the letter to, if should council decide to provide a letter of no objection.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Oak, go ahead.
I guess I think we should put a letter of support to that, assuming all the other steps are all occur over the next period of time. But I think it's a good news story as far as a lot of people come to see the home and would bring people into South Huron traveling in to see it, and it's a great cause fundraiser for the hospitals in London. So I think I'd like to support it.
Okay, very well. Any other comments? Councillor Vaughn, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just, a question of clarity. I don't know what a non-objection letter actually is. So,
Ms. Masu Coulson?
I think I'll let the clerk respond to this one.
So the AGCO for specific lottery licenses do require that, in this instance for Dream Home Lottery, that the municipality itself that the home would be located in does not object to a lottery licensing for a property within its jurisdiction boundaries. So without the municipality providing a letter of no objection, they can't proceed with issuing a lottery license. They'd have to pick a different location where the municipality is agreeable.
Oh, Ms. Masu Coulson, comment?
And through the mayor, it's very similar to when when council is asked for a letter of no objection through the AGCO for a liquor licensed event as well. So this is a process of the Alcohol Gaming Corporation of Ontario.
It's one step in many steps is what you're saying?
It's one step. We provide the letter, but the organizers would have other steps. Just kind of like any lottery application, right?
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Okay, so Councillor Oakey will make that motion then. I'll just wait for the clerk. Oh, Deputy, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, clerk, when you're ready.
The municipality of South Huron Council has no objections to the request from Ascend Fundraising Solutions for Dream Home Lottery to be held in support of London's hospitals.
So move, Councillor Oak. Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any further discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 15.3, I believe, was asked to be pulled. Councillor Vaughn?
yes, I asked for this to be pulled. Basically, as the letter says, they're looking for a exception amendment to the noise bylaws, moving it from 9 in the morning to 7 in the morning on Sundays. It's a 9-hole golf course right now. There aren't many homes that are adjacent, just the inn itself, to what's actually happening. And I would definitely support allowing this to happen on Sundays, even though it probably won't happen much till next year. But I support it.
Just turn to our staff. Any comment there, Ms. Masu Coulson?
Through the mayor, I'm wondering we've had a few different concerns with our noise bylaw this year. I'm wondering if it's a matter of if the clerk can put it on her work plan for 2025 and do a full review. Just sometimes it's difficult to give specific exemptions to specific requesters for an exemption, because the way I read this, it would be for moving forward for the months between April to October. So if it's something we're considering doing for one, it should maybe something we could consider whether or not it's a big change, a larger change to our noise bylaw.
Councillor Vaughn?
I have no problem with that either, except I'm just wondering, is there a way for us to put a diary note on this correspondence to maybe have it pop up again in a council meeting in March or early April, just in case scheduling does not permit staff to come out with an amended noise bylaw?
Okay, Councillor Oak?
Yeah, and I like the idea of reviewing the noise bylaw. I guess I'm not 100% sure on this request because we haven't seen the complaint ourselves. So this could be a neighbor and a neighbor issue because if we issue a change of noise bylaw here for cutting grass here, what's to say a landscaping company doesn't come and say they want to start cutting grass at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning? You know, so we could open up a can of worms supporting one business over another. So I'm just a little bit worried about supporting one of these businesses when I don't know that if staff has got any complaints from the cutting of grass here, or if this is just a neighbor complaining to Oakwood, and they know that they got an exemption to run one of their events late at night that we approved for a wedding or whatever. So they're coming to us again for this. So just my comment.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, do we need a resolution of some kind then?
So I do currently have the noise bylaw on the work plan to bring back for early 2025, but I could have a council resolution just so we have that on the books.
Go ahead. Do you want to prepare that resolution then, or we'll just wait for that?
That South Huron Council directs staff to review the municipal noise bylaw, including considerations for business exemption requests, as well as to include the lawn maintenance requests, and bring a report back to council by end of the first quarter for 2025.
So move, Counselor Vaughn.
So moved.
Seconder. Counselor Oak, any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? It carries with 7. Thank you. Okay, and you're caught up, are you? Okay, thank you. 15.4, Mr. Need.
Yep. So we received correspondence from the Sunset Community Foundation. They're looking for an update on the status of their agreement requests, and I can remember us having a discussion about potentially taking money from the Wind Vibrancy Fund and allocating some towards the Community Foundation, but I didn't know whether we needed a report or whether that was already on the radar and that the committee was going to be meeting at some point.
That's Ms. Sue Collison, please.
Thank you for that question. The Turbine Special Purpose Committee, they have a terms of reference, and as per that, they meet during the budget process, and that's my belief is that that's what they'll do once the operating budget has been and the capital budget has been released. There is a resolution on the books to that effect, and that'll be on their first agenda.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on that item? Thank you. Very well. 15.5, Mr. Neeb.
Yeah, thank you. So we received correspondence from Trident Properties about the Solhaven subdivision agreement. I know we're in the process of we'll have a meeting in November to discuss the front ending agreement, but the correspondence is requesting, I think, that they move ahead with the development prior to the front ending agreement, and I'm not sure what is involved in that process, and I'm not quite sure whether it's a good idea or not. And I'm just looking for staff as to whether we can get information. I know time is of the essence, and I'm not sure if we'd be able to get any information back prior to the next meeting about what this would involve.
Mr. Sue Collison.
Through the mayor, we will do our very best. If should council pass a resolution authorizing staff to proceed and bring back some information to the next council meeting. We'll do our best to bring something back.
Okay, and go ahead, Councilor.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Neeb that I'd like to make a motion that we get a staff report to come back to the next council meeting with the options or the for the subdivision agreement. Is it possible for the November 4th council meeting, Rebecca?
I think we can do it.
Yeah, and I'll just wait for Madam Clerk to prepare that resolution. Oh, sorry, is there any further discussion before we get to that point? Nothing, okay.
That South Huron Council direct staff bring a report back outlining options available regarding the Soul Haven subdivision agreement request of Trident Properties Limited for council consideration at the November 4th council meeting.
So move, Councilor Oak. Microphone, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Next item, 15.7, Councilor Oak.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just want to congratulate the Kirkton Pool also for a successful season. Great numbers and I know Rebecca has been working with Fred on some items both for the community center and the pool and in discussions. So the area has had a successful year and just want to congratulate them.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing further, we go on to a recommendation. Ms. Masood Carlson.
That South Huron Council received communication items not otherwise dealt with.
And a mover, please. Councilor Neeb, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carries with 7. Thank you. No closed session under 16. No, therefore no report from closed session under 17. 18.1, please.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 59/2024, being a bylaw to provide for the exemption of the Line Fences Act in the municipality of South Huron.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councilor Neeb, seconded by Councilor Oak. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. 19.1, please.
The South Huron Council gives first, second, third, and final reading to bylaw 60/2024, being a bylaw to confirm matters addressed at the October 21st, 2024 council meeting.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councilor Neeb, seconded by Councilor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. Number 20, please.
That South Huron Council hereby adjourn at 7:23 PM to meet again on November 4th, 2024 at 6 PM or at the call of the chair.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilor Neeb. No discussion. Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you very much. And